Okay, please, can everyone see my screen? I'm sorry for that. I had to take a few minutes to live stream for those who will not be able to join the Zoom because I'm sure it will be very full soon. And then also for those who have network issues joining the Zoom and who prefer to watch on YouTube. Please, can everyone hear me? Can everyone see my screen before I continue? Okay, thank you so much. So without further ado, I just need, like is our usual practice, I need two people to raise their hands and share with us what they've learned so far from last week, and then I'll bring up the trainer for today and we get right into it. So just raise your hand and share the two things that what stood out for you last week. I just need two people, a male and a female, to share that the things you learned last week. We had a whole lot. We had 6 days of learning last week, from project management to soft skills to communication to written communication to public speaking and presentation. So just raise your hand and I'll allow you to unmute yourself and you can speak. Okay, is anyone raising their hand? Is anyone willing to share with us what they learned? Anyone. We had a whole lot last week. Okay, Busayo.
All right, good evening, everyone. And thank you so much, Mr. Indamola, for the wonderful program. So for me, what stood out for me last week it would still be on, communication, how to enhance my communication skills. So the last class we had on that was Saturday. So I really learned a lot being an administrative assistant, when it comes to the way you communicate when it comes to work based with your team. It is different from the way you communicate when you are, just chatting or randomly with your friend and all that. I also learned because I've always been wondering that, okay, let's take, for example, I want to write to the management. I'm always like, is it going to be like a normal letter? But I got to understand that it is that is where memo comes in, and there are ways whereby I can write a memo to make it more professional. Also, I learned basic let me say additional etiquette when it comes to sending email, the do's and don'ts of email and all that. So for me, I would say communication does it for me last week, and I really learned a lot. And I believe by the end of this program, my communication skills when it comes to writing will be better than it was before. Yeah, thank you so much. Still on communication. I'm glad.
Thank you so much for that insightful reflection, Bisayo. Thank you. Solomon, you can speak. I've allowed you to unmute yourself and speak, so please you can speak.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Please, are you hearing me?
Yes, we can. Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. From our last week session, I actually learned a lot. First of all, we started from the concept of work. When we are looking at how work is seen differently, the concept of work over the years has changed from its original meaning. That is, what is seen as work now is different from what we know before. Work can be formal or informal. Now we're looking at how we can be able to handle our workplaces, the difference, and then how we can approach our tasks in the offices. We'll see how the work have evolved from primitive era to the current generation we are. Now work does not necessarily mean when you must go to the office before work will take place. You can work in your domain, your home, you can work from home. And then we also look at, particularly on Saturday, when we look at email writing, I actually learn a lot because writing email is one of the thing, one of the problem I do face. I was able to learn how some common errors in writing professional emails or writing email within the workplaces. I was able to know how to avoid some common errors, and I also was able to take correction. Thank you. I think I learned a lot, but just to mention a few, I will stop here for now.
Okay, thank you so much. I see someone else raising their hands, but because of time and because our speaker is already joined very early, and that is very commendable. So I'll just go right into it. I would also like to apologize if you are hearing any noise in my background. There's no way I can change my location and just I apologize. I'll try as much as possible to not interrupt sessions. And please, can everyone hear me? Just confirm that you can hear me, and we'll go right into the session. Can you just put in the chat if you can hear me? Because I'll just like to read now and introduce the trainer for today. And okay, thank you. So our trainer for today is here already, and his name is Abdulsamad Abdul-Jalil. Abdulsamad Abdul-Jalil is an AI engineer, product manager, and full stack data scientist, passionate about solving complex problems at the intersection of data science and ongoing postgraduate studies in financial engineering. He brings technical depth and strategic insights to his work. He has led AI and data initiatives across fintech, healthcare, education, and agriculture, developing tools like AI-powered patient monitoring systems and smart farm platforms, while consulting for NGOs and startups on data and AI strategy. As a Google AI e-learning ambassador, Zindi ambassador, and Mentor Me Collective track lead, it drives professional growth in Africa's data ecosystem. Through Data Connect NG, Abdisamad has trained and mentored hundreds of learners, supporting their transition into data and AI careers. He is committed to empowering Africa's next generation of problem solvers, connecting people to opportunity, and building sustainable solutions from the grassroots. At Skilled for Now 2.0, which is today, Abdulsamad Abdul-Jalil will be training participants on AI and digital literacy tools and tools for workplace success and career development. Please welcome our trainer for today. I met him at a training session myself, organized by RCF, and he was very receptive to the idea of training us on taking this session on today's for Skilled for Now virtual bootcamp, and I really honor that and appreciate that. Thank you very much, sir, for being here. So, sir, you have the floor. Please welcome our speaker in the comments. I will stop sharing my screen right now so you can share your screen, and then you can also see your face and get started.
Hey, mic check. Can you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, we can see you and we can hear you.
All right.
And we can also
good.
see your slides.
Okay. Are you seeing it in slideshow? Are you seeing just the?
Okay, so it's not in slideshow because the order of the slides is still showing on the side. It's not yet in slideshow.
Okay. How about now?
Yes, it's in slideshow now.
Okay. Thank you. It's good to be here, and it's nice to meet you all. I I observed that most of us, a couple of us, have filled the pre-survey. And when I was going through the responses, it was interesting to see that a lot has already been done. So my task for today has been made a lot easier due to the responses that I got from the pre-survey that was shared. But nonetheless, we are not going to assume. So we're going to jump into our discussion for today, which is around AI literacy for career growth. So first things first, we need to understand that AI is no longer the future. When you see people, oh, the future is AI, we are living in that future. We are living in AI already. So whatever you are doing right now, you should have started 2, 3 years ago. I know AI is relatively new, but as new as it is, that's also how quick we're all supposed to jump on that train. Because before we know it, a lot of things are going to change drastically. It's shaping work, communication, and our various careers. So my bio was read just a bunch of things, but it's good to be here, and I hope that by the end of today's session, we would understand what generative AI is, would become better at commanding or making use of these AI tools, and then we also understand what it means to use AI responsibly. So all of these are things that you can look out for in the course of our discussion today. So let's start from the beginning. Why are we bothered about AI literacy? What's the whole buzz around it? Why disturb ourselves? And there are 3 key areas that I want us to look at. The first is the rise of these tools and generally automation. So it's not just AI, but the need to automate all of the tasks that we are going through. So that's the first one. Second one is the fact that this is now a foundational skill for every career path. And thirdly, there are numerous tools, numerous techniques, numerous frameworks that you can apply in order to get these things done. So you're not constrained. You don't have to pick just one tool. So looking at the rise of Gen AI and automation, this was a survey by the McKinsey Foundation, and they asked employees in organizations across the world that will AI change how you do your current job in the next 5 years? And most people were of the opinion that it would. Then the other question was, will AI replace your job in the next 5 years? And most people were of the opinion that it would not. So when you start to see people talk about, oh, AI is taking people's jobs, there was a recent wave of layoffs across some of the big tech firms. And you wonder, is this not evidence that AI is taking people's jobs? But in actuality, what's happening is it is changing the landscape. It is changing the modus operandi of these jobs. And by so doing, organizations would tend to require fewer people to get the same job done. But it means that a lot of other smaller organizations
Oh, I guess it's the trainers network, because I guess it is network because it's frozen. So I guess it's the network. No, it will soon be back. Or it's even left a call. It will soon be back. Um, network again.
Okay, I'm not sure what happened, but apologies for that. Um, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. So, um, as I was saying, AI is now in that same position. It's becoming a foundational skill, such that no one expects you to come and write, oh, proficient in typing or proficient in Microsoft Word, Excel, all of those funny things that we get to include or we used to include on our series. Now, everybody automatically expects that you have these tools and they are looking to evaluate you on other core areas of the business. So that's the same role that AI is beginning to play. And a good example would be the advent of smartphone cameras. We used to have content creators, movie producers needing $1,000 cameras to shoot movies and all of this. But smartphone cameras continued to evolve. They started getting better. And with that, we saw that, okay, yes, people don't hire photographers as they used to for events. Back then, it was a big deal. If you don't have a photographer, then there is no other way of getting memories from that event. But what happened is it lowered the barrier of entry such that you would see professional mobile photographers at events now. These are people that they could not afford the millionaire cameras and all of that, being able to leverage the cameras on their smartphone. So yes, some people lost their job. The wait and get passport shops that litter their environments, most of them are no longer anywhere to be found. But you have a lot more people stepping into this content creation space and being able to do things on that small scale. So I want us to look at it from that angle. Whenever conversations around, oh, people are losing their job, or AI is going to make people lose their job, yes, there would be changes. Things would evolve, things would modify. But at the end of the day, it's creating new opportunities that you need to position yourself to be able to benefit from. So also, when you look at the growth of AI tools, in the beginning of the race, it was majorly ChatGPT until, okay, we had Google Bard come in and do a lot of, um, it wasn't great in its first iteration. They had to rebrand and we ended up with Gemini as it is now. So there are more tools growing in this space. Some of them are generic tools, some of them are specific to a particular industry. And we'll try to explore all of this and also look at some ethical frameworks around this. So let's look at what the AI landscape is. We understand why we need to jump on the train. But what's the train that we're jumping on? That's what we want to look at next. So we want to understand the AI landscape as it is. We want to understand the differences between the various terms that you would hear, AI, ML, generative AI. What do these things mean? Want to see how the global industry is shifting. And I think from the feedback that I heard earlier, it seems you guys have done a lot around this. So I'd like to hear from you as well about some of the trends that you have observed in the global landscape, and then also how it applies to every profession out there. So starting with the four key areas that we have three major ones, but there's one of them that will come in somewhere along. So we have artificial intelligence. And when you hear AI, it's a very, very, very broad term. So I had somebody send me a DM on LinkedIn, and I was like, oh, I'd like you to teach me about AI, this and that. I was like, okay, what exactly do you want to learn? Because when we talk about AI, it is everything that relates with having computers mimic human intelligence. Human intelligence is what allows us to make decisions, is what allows us to react or respond appropriately to situations. So when you are given a task, you don't just go ahead and execute the task from point A to point Z. There are times that you would observe obstacles. There are things that you would need to pivot, that you will need to modify along the course of executing that task. And that is where AI comes in. So AI is trying to give computers that ability to carry out actions, make decisions, automate processes that can respond to real-time changes. So this is where it begins to differ from automation. So yes, you can have robots in an assembly line, but basically all those robots are doing is pick stuff from point A and move it to point B. What happens if there's an obstacle in the middle? It has either been programmed to stop or it's going to run into the obstacle. So that is just basic automation. But with AI, it is okay, how do I now reposition myself? How do I adapt to the fact that this space has changed? So you have to apply AI to even automation. Automation does not automatically mean, oh, the fact that it's a robot, it's artificial intelligence. No, we are able to apply AI to even the field of robotics and automation. Now, a subset of artificial intelligence is machine learning. This is the process that allows the computer to learn patterns from our data. So this is the foundation of all of the things that we do. There has to be data somewhere showing that when so action took place, this was the results that we got out of it. When a candidate comes in with BSc, MSc, PhD, and 10 years experience, they are able to hit the ground running and meet their KPI in the first 3 months. So we have seen that trend, and then we can now use that trend to forecast, to predict, to react to other situations as they begin to arise. So machine learning is that process that allows the computer to go through a lot of data, try to find what is the pattern, what's the relationship between this action and this result. We are not specifically programming it to say, when A happens, do X, or if B happens, do Y. That's a system on its own. It's an expert system, and that's what we used to have back in the 19 and early 2000s. But right now, it is giving a set of inputs, find out what the results would look like. We're not giving it a direct path to that solution. So now we have generative AI being a subset, meaning generative AI is now a part of all of these things. It's a part of AI, it's a part of ML. We have deep learning, which is focused on, we're not just looking at understanding patterns generally. We're looking at understanding patterns that are trying to mimic the connections in the brain. So for those of us that have done anything medical related, probably anatomy, or even maybe biology, you get to understand how neurons work. There is a stimulus coming in, the information flows through the neurons until it gets to the receptor. So now that process is what computers are trying to mimic. That give us an input. It goes through a bunch of layers. What is it doing at each of these layers? We have no idea, but there are a lot of them. And then we want to get a result at the end of it. So this process is what generative AI is able to leverage on, such that it takes an input. And the input in our case is your prompt. So it takes an input and it tries to find a pattern. It tries to compare it to other things that it knows, and it's aiming to give you a result. So that's that's the understanding that we need to have about generative AI. Whatever information you give it, whatever input you give it, has a big role to play in the results that you would get. That's the reason why prompt engineering is a very, very, very important skill set that we need to have. Also, looking at industry shifts and what the global workspace is looking like, a couple of things that are very, very key in this adoption is globalization. You are no longer competing with local talents. You are now competing with the international markets because as much as so there is a shift from work from home back to in office, and there's been a lot of, oh, is it working? Is it not working? Was it COVID that caused the boom or not? We still have people that are continuously thriving in the remote work environment. So as you begin to look for opportunities, do not limit yourself to opportunities that are within your locale. Expand that scope to the global markets. It's possible that it's not easy, considering some of the restrictions. You have countries that have work visa restrictions and all of that. But even with that, there are a lot of opportunities out there outside your local domain that you can thrive in. I know a lot of tech bros, to put it that way, that have migrated out of Lagos because of all the stress and all of that in Lagos. They are now living in less stressful cities. Some of them are here in Ilorin. I'm currently in Ilorin too, from Lagos, Ibadan, and all of these places, because most of the work that we need to do can be done remotely. And with that, it allows you to live that constraint, that choked up environment that there is a lot of challenges or there's a lot of bottlenecks around. So that's one area that is making it essential that we need to have these skills. If you just look at your local environment, if you look at your peers, you get into the office and you look at the person that is still struggling to turn on a computer, you could think that, oh, I'm not going anywhere there. Yeah, I'm covered, I'm safe. But when you remember that the competition is now global, it is possible that you wake up one day and you are told that, oh, we're able to get an Indian that will do XYZ, and thank you, you can leave. Unfortunately, that Indian is not coming to take your job. He is coming to replace your entire team. So you have 4, 5, or whatever, how large your team is, and they're telling you it's time for you to go in order to bring in somebody out there. So we need to have that in mind as we explore these areas. Then also, we have tools that are beginning to evolve in different landscapes. At the early stages of AI, there are areas that were skeptical about allowing AI to give us results on finance, legal, medical, because of the complex nature of these areas. But we are beginning to see new tools evolve that are dedicated to answering these questions in the best way possible. So if you think that, oh, I'm covered, or oh, AI cannot come and creep into my space, yes, it might not, we would not get to a point where we don't need doctors. That's not going to happen because somebody still needs to interface with whatever the AI is giving and the patient and serve as that connection point. But you need to make sure that as you are growing in your career, you are also staying abreast with what are the latest tools in this space that I need to get familiar with, so that you don't get dropped out, you don't get left out of the discussion. So let's look at generative AI on its own. We've talked about why, we've talked about what it is. We now want to want to remove the mask. We all say Gen AI, Gen AI. So want to remove the mask on Gen AI and now look beneath to see what's really going on behind the scene. So what's going on behind the scene, as I explained, is you have data from multiple sources. So this data is gathered across various disciplines, across various domains, and that's the reason why you have most of these big companies, big tech companies, creating what we call large language models. So when you see somebody building an AI solution, that AI solution locally is most likely leveraging on something that has been built, that has been trained on that large amount of data. So we take data from books, we take data from videos, we take data from social media, from articles, blog posts, all of the information that's out there that's available on the internet. We can pre-process that data, pre-processing in the sense that we want to understand what is the content of this particular book, what's the content of this particular video, what's the tone, what's the message, what is the professional affiliation of it, what's the geographic implication associated with it. So we want to extract as much context as possible in order to be able to categorize it that, oh, okay, when we pick up this particular text or this particular article, it's talking about product management for fintech organizations. So we're able to categorize it under tech. We're able to categorize it under product management. We're able to categorize it under finance. We're able to categorize it under fintech. Just from being able to extract that, what are the various domains that it talks about. So we take all of that data, we process it, then it goes through the training part, that's the machine learning part. And we end up identifying patterns that, oh, all of the articles that are related to fintech product management talk about APIs. Because at the end of the day, most, or let's say all of the articles that are talking about backend fintech talk about APIs, because most of them are consuming APIs from a provider. So we're able to identify that pattern such that whenever somebody comes to ask a question, we are using probability. We're guessing, but we're not going to call it guessing. It's a lot more complex than that. So if we have mathematicians in the house, I apologize. But we're using probability to try to generate what is related to this particular thing that we are talking about. So we find all of the content related to that topic, and we start to use probability to make it make sense. When I say artificial, then it goes and says, what is the most likely next word after artificial when we are talking about art? If we are talking about art, then it's most likely not artificial intelligence. It's probably artificial something else. But when we're talking about technology, it knows that, oh, the most likely next word is intelligence. So it's able to predict the next word, and it keeps doing that until it generates the whole of that text for you, until it generates the whole of that video for you, until it generates the whole of that image for you. It's predicting the next thing that makes sense within that particular scope. And then we keep iterating, we keep trying to improve on this. So all of this is to allow you to see that there's a need for you to tell AI exactly what you want, so that the context it's going to be trying to predict from is related to what you have in mind. It's not a mind reader. It cannot just, when you just ask, what is AI? It doesn't understand that, oh, you're trying to ask this in the context of my job as a digital marketer. Or it doesn't understand that you're asking it this as a postgraduate student trying to write your dissertation. So you need to give it more context so that whatever result it is going to give you, it is pulling from the right pool. It is picking the right set of information in order to feed you with that. So some of the things that you should know about prompts, we are going to look at a proper prompt, but some of the things you should know about prompting is we have processes that help you ensure you have the right results. One of them is what we call zero-shot prompting. And that's what most of us do. You just go in and ask it to give you a result straight up. So whatever it gives you, there is no basis, there is no construct, there is no boundary that you have set for the results that AI is going to give you. It works, but that's not the best approach that we should take. Now, the other thing is we have few short prompting. So in this case, what you're doing is you're giving AI an example. This is what we have before. So as a content writer, as a virtual assistant, you have done some work in the past. So give it that work as an example, even down to your LinkedIn post. You have written LinkedIn articles in the past. You've written 10, you've written 20, you've written 50. Some of them did fine, some of them did not. So go back, try to understand what your current content, how your current content is performing. Now come and give it those things as an example. So you say, write a LinkedIn article on AI for product managers in line with the previous article that I wrote here. Now, I'm not going to give it the link. I'm going to give it the actual article that I wrote. Or if it's an essay, oh, okay, you've written an essay on finance. You want to write another essay on law. Give it that finance essay. It knows your particular tone. It's able to extract how you communicate, and then it tries to mimic that in the result that it's giving you. So that's an important tool that you should try to implement going forward. Then we also have what we call chain of thoughts. So in this case, what we are doing is we're not just jumping in and asking AI for an answer. We're going to go in first and ask AI to give us responses about that particular topic. So right now, I want to write an essay on the Nigerian workforce. I'm not just going to go in and ask it, oh, write about the Nigerian workforce. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for information about the Nigerian workforce. So this allows it to go in and bring up all of the things that it's able to find around the workspace or the workforce in Nigeria or the tech ecosystem in Nigeria, as the case may be. So it has brought all of that information. I'm going to ask it, okay, what are the challenges? What are the milestones that we've been able to achieve? What are the areas that we're lacking? When I've done all of these things, it's now easier for us, that's me and AI, we're both doing it together. It's easier for us to now write a much more comprehensive, a much more accurate essay on the tech ecosystem in Nigeria. Because you're not just asking it to go figure this out. You start by giving it thoughts. Okay, think about this, and it gives you that response. Think about this next thing, it gives you the response. And then you now take all of those thoughts, all of those responses, and you are able to get your final output from it. So these are some of the things that I would recommend that we try out as we continue to evolve in the AI space. So your now this is the point where we've been waiting for. How do we try our best to write a fairly good prompt? Some of the things that we need to consider is, because we understand now, you and I understand that all AI is doing is trying to figure out what the next prediction should be based on the constraints, based on the context we have given it. So we are trying to give it as much context so that it's able to pick from the right sources. So the first thing you want to do is to clearly define your goal. What do you want to achieve? If I want to summarize a article or an academic paper, what I'm interested in is seeing the key points that were discussed in that paper. So I'm not just going to ask it give me or explain few short prompting. I'm going to ask it to summarize using a clear term. Summarize this article on, summarize this email, summarize this document. So at that point, it already understands the task at hand. It's not trying to recreate, it's not trying to regenerate. It understands that the goal is to go in and give you a summary of what you have. If you want to explain a particular context, ask it, explain AI for developers to me. So it knows that, okay, the context that I'm working with is to explain. That is the task that it has been assigned to do, and it's going to try its best to fulfill that particular task. If you don't do any other thing, this is the single most important one. Ask it exactly what you want it to do. Write an article on calculate the, so start with a verb, meaning start with a task that you want it to achieve. Then the next thing is context. Now, if I'm trying to explain AI, and I want to explain AI to PhD students, MSc students, secondary school students, primary school students, I'm not going to explain all of this in the same way. If I do, then I have not achieved, I have not done my due diligence. So this is the same thing with AI. You're not expecting AI to just give all of you the same response. The response that it would give you as a professional in the field is different from the response that it will give you if you're just starting out your career. It's different from the response that it will give you if you are transitioning. It's different from the response it will give you if this is the first time you're carrying out that task. If it's a repetitive task, if it's a task you've done countless times. So all of those things allow it to tailor the responses in order to suit your particular use case. Then I already mentioned few short prompting. So that's the idea of giving it examples, allowing it to learn from those examples. What was the style used? What was the structure? What was the tone? What's the format? Once it sees all of that, then it can give you responses that are in line with that particular format. Then you also can give it a persona. Would you want it to speak as? Speak as a renowned author from Kenya or a graduate student in economics. So would you want, now, this is different from tailor your response. Your response is the result you want to see. The persona is who is carrying out that task. So if the question is, okay, as an undergraduate student, go and speak with PhD or professors on AI, then the persona is you as the undergraduate student. AI is acting as the undergraduate student. And the context, the responses you want it to tailor are tailored for a particular set of people. So don't mix them up. Don't switch your context with your persona. Now, for the persona side of things, you are not limited to constraining it to speak as yourself. So for example, this afternoon, I got sent a document, a legal document, and I went into Gemini and I said, as an experienced startup lawyer. So that is the persona that AI is going
Just a second. I think his network is breaking again. I first thought it was my network, but I think his network is breaking again. We'll soon be back on the call and it will continue from where he stopped. Okay, he's back.
Okay, apologies. So, like I was saying, the next angle is looking at the format that you want it to give you the results in. And like I said, you don't have to include all of this. I don't know, it seems to be, not sure what's going on here. Okay, so some of these components are embedded in the layers that are above them. But if you don't give it an example, then give it a persona, give it a format, give it a tone. But once you give it an example, it's most likely going to be able to infer the kind of person you are. It's going to infer what kind of tone you used to write. It's going to infer what format do you want the response to be in. So that's why you have it from most important to least important. If you can include all of it, fine and good. But if you can't do any other thing, number one is start with a verb. Ask yourself, what exactly do I want the result of this particular response to be? Create, generate, explain, critique, analyze, summarize. So start with that verb and then go on. Please, can you give me host right on my other device so
Oh,
that if anything goes wrong, I
okay.
could just switch to that.
Okay, I've done that now.
All right, thank you. All right, so that's what we're looking at on AI, on prompt engineering. We're going to quickly do a hands-on, but I just want to touch on some other theoretical concepts before we round up. So what are the key things that employers are looking for? They are not looking for AI systems on its own, but they are looking at you using AI to help in your decision making and improve your workflow. Now, an example that I like to give is you come in as an intern designer, an intern marketer, and you have someone with more experience, 20 years experience. He's been doing this for a long time, and you have access to all of the decisions that that person has made. So that is what you and I are supposed to use our AI tools to do. Can you still hear me? Hello, can you still hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So that's what our employers are expecting. Seeing us use these AI tools to help in the decision-making process, to make sure that our workflow is optimized. You're not relying on just your own knowledge, on just your own experience, but you're relying on the fact that there is a system out there that has gathered data from multiple sources, that has learned from the best of the best. It is now for you to give it the right instructions so that it's able to give you results that it got from the best of the best. Because most of what is out there is mediocre. You have a lot of not so great work. So if you don't specify that, oh, I'm interested in results that were achieved from this kind of people, then it just gives you work that is on par with what every other person is doing. So make sure that you ask the right questions in order to help with your workflow and your decision-making process. But now you also need to understand that when you're trying to make those decisions, it's not omnipotent. It doesn't know what you're going through. It doesn't know your particular situation. So you need to give it enough information so that it's able to give you results that are tailored towards that particular situation. Then we're also looking at data-driven storytelling. So in this on this note, we're looking at, yes, tell your story, share all of these things, but try to make sure that there is an element of data, of validated data behind it. So make sure that there is two things: tell your story, back it up with data. The second thing is share your data, but tell us in a story form. So it's both ways. You're doing something, don't just tell us what you did, quantify that work, give us numbers around it. But also, don't just go ahead and share numbers. Oh, last month, we're able to do 20% increased sales. Share a story around this. Tell us where you're coming from. Tell us the obstacles that you overcame. Tell us how you're able to achieve that result. Then also taking into context ethical and responsible AI. So now on this aspect of responsible AI, practical tools, I'm sure we've interacted with a lot of them. I'm just trying to scan through so that we don't spend. We've interacted with a couple of them. You have ChatGPT, you have Gemini, you have Claude, you have Copilot. Those are the generic ones. Then when you're looking at image, you have DALL-E, you have Canva, you have Midjourney, you have Firefly. For developers, you have all of that. If you're looking at content creation, audio content, video content, you also have these tools. If you're also looking at workflow optimization, you have things like Zapier, you have IFFT, if this, then that. So it's also a tool that helps you automate. If a particular, both of them, Zapier and the IFFT, if a particular situation occurs, or if I find myself in this particular scenario, then carry out this action. And it's really, really helpful in things like campaign automation or customer management. So the customer comes in and automatically you have a welcome or you have an onboarding email sent to them. Or you get to meet people at an event, you network with them, you collected their contacts. What do you do? Do you have a tool that allows you to reach out to them? Oh, it was nice meeting you and this. I look forward to keeping up this conversation with you. So all of those tools are there to help you in your day-to-day work. Now, to the aspect of ethical use of AI. In this case, what we're trying to understand is if data is the background for all of the things that we are doing, then there are some challenges that we're going to face. Some of these challenges include the fact that if, for example, I want to give it context, my team lead gives me a task based on the particular situation of our organization. And I go ahead and copy all of the information I'm giving, including the user persona, the research, everything that was given to help me get context. I copy it verbatim and paste it into the AI tool. Because, like we said, we want to give it context. We want it to understand what it needs to understand so that it can make the right decision. But at the same time, in that process, I've exposed proprietary information, I've exposed confidential information, I've exposed internal information to a public tool that I do not know how that information is being handled. There are some of us that, you want to analyze an Excel worksheet or you want to create a PowerPoint or something, and you go ahead and copy the data of your customers or your clients or wherever the end user is. You want to send an email to somebody or someone send you an email. You copy everything, including the name of the person, the email address, the phone number, the LinkedIn URL, everything in the email, copy it, paste in AI so that AI will give you a response. So all of these things are things that we also need to have at the back of our mind. There are things that we need to have at the back of our mind. We cannot necessarily solve all of them, but understanding that they exist helps put us in a space that we are conscious about the actions that we take. So let's start with hallucination and disinformation. And that is one of the biggest challenges with AI. AI does not know how to tell you that I don't know. AI is that, I don't know if we are that classmates that would come out and confidently say rubbish. That's AI for you. So it's whatever the question you ask it, whether it knows or not, it can confidently come out and say rubbish because it starts and then it predicts the first word, second, third. But somewhere along the line, it didn't predict the right thing. And because of that single mistake, it derails it completely. So every result after that is tainted. Confidence nonsense, exactly. So an AI would not tell you that it's wrong. So that is what we call hallucinations. And these are part of the reasons why we say that AI is not going to replace humans. Because you as a professional in that field, there are things that you know that when you see them, you will know that, no, now this cannot be correct. I know there are countless times that I've asked Gemini to solve mathematics problems for me, financial maths and all of that. It does the calculation, and I tell it that, no, this is not correct. Recalculate it again. So it is not trying to say, okay, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. It is not doing that calculation. What it's doing is 2 plus 2. What is the most likely thing that will come after it? You can see that that is different from calculate 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. It is saying that for all the people that have written 2 plus 2, what do they usually put behind it? So most times it's going to be 4. But there are times that for some funny reason, it's going to say, 2 plus 2 is 22. because that is the prediction that came in at that point. And once it gets that, it continues to derail using that particular from that point on. So we need to understand that hallucinations and don't take AI responses verbatim. Verify. There are people that have lost their jobs because of this. AI gave them, okay, some of the disadvantages of this is, and it's wrongly quoted a KPMG report. Now, the person that asked it did not verify, just copied, sent it to the client, and then they now started dragging between the consultants, KPMG, and the clients. Who is lying among all of us? So you cannot come and blame AI in that case. It is you that used it without verifying, without confirming the information that you sent, that is bearing the responsibility. So ensure that you verify the sources of whatever AI generates for you. Also, try your best to protect the data of your customers, your users, you yourself. Yes, give it context, but don't go copy personal information or sensitive materials and give to AI in the name of, oh, I want to give it context. We have enterprise AI tools. There's Microsoft Copilot for Business. And the part of the differentiating factors between it is, number one, whatever you ask in that Copilot for Business is restricted to only your business environment. It does not get out. Microsoft does not use it to retrain their Copilot updates. So it means that these organizations know that there is a risk there. And that's the reason why they are willing to pay in order to protect their information. And with that, it doesn't even mean that they will completely trust these AI tools, but at least they've been ensured that they are within a closed system, compared to most of us that whatever you feed into all of your AI tools ends up, yes, they try to pre-process it, clean it up, but at the end of the day, you cannot be 100% guaranteed. Now, also, this is the last responsible AI discussion or topic on AI responsibility we want to talk about. And that is the fact that you have to be careful about the bias that exists in the data that was used to train AI models. Now, this is a problem that you and I cannot solve because we're not the ones that trained the large language models. But you would understand that, for example, when Apple first came out with Face ID, it was reported that for Chinese, it was easier for them to unlock each other's phone with Face ID. To us, yeah, it might seem like a lot of them look alike, but also it's because most of the data that was available to train these first generations were from the American and European markets. So yes, it has learned how to differentiate between two Europeans or two Americans, but it has not seen enough samples of Blacks, of Asians, of all of these other colors to be able to differentiate between them. So it does not apply to just images, it applies to every other thing. When you're looking at, okay, trying to understand hiring practices, and in a particular organization, 90% of the people they've hired in the past are from a certain region. So the moment somebody from that's outside that region comes in, the data, the algorithm is automatically biased against that person. So we need to be conscious about this, know that it exists, and try to avoid falling into all of this when we are training our own data. So when you're giving it examples, when you're using your organization data, don't just pick a small subset and say, oh, these are two examples. use this tool to learn for every other person, it's most likely going to be biased against those two people. And for other people that don't fall into that brackets, you might not get the best of results. So this is the hands-on part that we've been waiting for. I want you to write an email to a potential mentor. Just write an email to a potential mentor. So I'm not expecting you to write this. I'm expecting you to go into whatever AI tool, ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, DeepSeek, whatever your preference is, go into that AI tool and ask it to generate an email to a potential mentor for you. So I want to give us just 3 minutes to do that. Then I want to see in the chat, once you've done yours, then in the chat, paste your prompt and the response that you got in the chat for us. So you have 3 minutes for that. And while that's going on, I'll go through the chats that we've had so that if there are any questions in there, I can take them. Okay, somebody asked, what sharp way can one answer a question with the help of AI without another detecting it as AI generated right up? So now for that, the answer is, remember what we talked about in terms of chain of thoughts. So use AI to do your research on that particular topic. So you can ask it questions around, okay, compare and contrast, analyze, justify, do all of those brainstorming with the AI. But at the end of the day, the response, the results you should give should be your own work. So that's the AI is still giving you the answer. But the difference here is that the answer AI is giving you, you are now processing it, you're now codifying it into your own form and giving it as a result. That's the approach that I would recommend you take. There are other approaches around, okay, if you give it an example that you have done by yourself, it will most likely give you a result that's similar to that. But the best bet is use AI as a research tool. Use it to understand the context. Use it to evaluate what kind of response you want to give, and then go ahead and draft your response. And that question says, you said? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, so thank you so much. I'm saying that this is time for question and answer, so they could as well as you questions too. If you want to ask questions or say anything, please raise your hand and I'll allow you to unmute yourself. In the meantime, the post-session assessment form is being shared in the chat.
Okay. Okay, so and that question asks, AI apps like DALI, Copilot, it's Copilot, not Copilot. Do they work perfectly as that of ChatGPT, or are they used other than composing write-ups? So now, when you're talking about DALI, DALI is an image generation tool. DALI is not for content writing. It's not for text responses. Copilot ChatGPT, Gemini are primarily for text responses. Now they are beginning to use models to generate images. But behind the scene, the model that is generating that image is different from the model that is generating your text. So you just need to understand what are the capabilities of this particular model. So with Gemini, Gemini is multimodal. So it allows you to give it text inputs. You can give it voice inputs as well. And you can get image responses, text responses, video responses, audio responses from it. So understand what that particular AI tool can do. With the right prompts, most of them will give you a good result. Now, as you begin to improve, as you begin to explore further, you start to see that, okay, this particular one is better suited for this kind of tasks. For example, when I'm doing calculation, when I'm doing coding, I use Gemini. When I'm doing content writing, LinkedIn, all of those things, I use ChatGPT based on the research and the responses I've gotten from them. So you get to start speaking that, okay, this tool can be better suited for this particular kind of tasks compared to this one.
Okay, thank you so much. So, Yayoli, I've asked you to unmute. Please, you can speak. This is the time for question and answer. Thank you for doing the exercise. I've been seeing the messages in the chat. Please raise your hands if you want to speak. I don't want to unmute everyone at once because of noise. So raise your hands if you want to speak, and I will let you speak.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. I wanted to find out how can one use generative AI for job search in such a way that I made to understand that organizations now have also have like an app that you can use to detect like generative AI applications and all. So how can one use it in such a way that you won't be screened out and all? Then also I heard that in using ChatGPT and all that, the use of please and all those kind of words makes it difficult for more difficult or something like that. I don't know if it's true. If you can throw more lights to that. And then also, what's the future of generative AI with respect to um, data from Africa? Thank you.
Okay. All right. So let me just recap so that I don't forget your questions. The first one was how do you use AI to beat AI systems? Second one was adding nuances, please, thank you. Then third one was the future of Africa in the AI landscape. Okay, so for the first one, now the challenge with most of us, and maybe just a quick, maybe let's use emojis. So if you have ever asked AI, or if you've ever given AI all of these things that we mentioned, the 6-step prompt checklist, if you've ever used this in your AI responses, let's just give an emoji or just drop an emoji so that I get to see how many of us have tried something like this. You've used maybe like 3 of it. It doesn't have to be all 6, but you were trying to carry out a task and you clearly specified what you want. You gave it context, you gave it a persona and the likes. Okay, I'm seeing some emojis, a few. So that's the challenge. Now, when people say, oh, you're using AI to answer this, or you're using AI to submit that, what most people are doing is copy, paste in AI, get results, copy, submit. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No, you are not. Yayole, are you here?
Right? No. Okay, good. So that is the biggest red flag. That is the surest way to get caught. If that is the process that you are, if that's the process that you are going through, then there's nothing you want to do that will not allow them to catch you. But if one, you use AI as a tool, meaning that you're not relying on the results that it's giving you, you're just using it to help you do your things better. Research that would have taken you 10 hours, because you have AI, you're able to ask it to, you're able to do that research in 5 hours or in 2 hours, and then pick the key points, draft something, and ask AI to edit or to modify or to analyze or to critique it for you. So at that point, it is not AI is just spitting out something for you. It is you are using AI to improve on the work or the product of your own efforts or whatever. So that's personality, that's differentiation would kind of show in the results that you are sending. It doesn't just seem like, oh, every asked you to write an essay on Africa and everybody starts it, Africa is my country. Everybody's essay starts it, Africa is my country. But if you have done your own, okay, Africa is one of the 7 continents, and that person says, oh, Nigeria. So the differences in how you choose to approach it, in how you used AI, would also tell in how these end results are able to detect it. Because at the end of the day, I explained how AI works for you. How AI works is it takes a bunch of information and it tries to predict what is the most likely response. So it takes content that AI has given out over time, and it sees that 80% of the time, 90% of the time, when AI gives you a LinkedIn article, there are more than 20 emojis inside it. So the moment you paste a LinkedIn article that has more than 20 emojis, in a situation where, for some reason, your own LinkedIn post has 10, it has 5. So it is, even if it's from AI, then it is very likely that AI will tell you that, oh, this does not look like every other thing that I've seen AI write. Aside from things like text generation that you can stamp and the rest of them, when it comes to writing, it's just about pattern. So there's a pattern that AI usually uses to write, to communicate. And if that default pattern is observed in the response that you're giving, then most likely the AI tool is going to flag it. So use AI as a tool, but don't let it completely replace you. That's what I would say for the first one. The second one is when you say, okay, adding all of this nonsense, please, thank you, can you, all of those things. The problem is AI cannot directly place those terms. AI cannot directly place those terms in a particular category. They don't belong to just one group. They are used in informal conversations. So it's not so easy to, part of what happens is they get ignored. So we're looking for the content, we're looking for the main words in whatever you're communicating with. If when we talk about something around NLP, natural language processing, we talk about stop words. Those are words that don't necessarily carry inherent meaning. So when I say, can you get me a ride? what I'm interested in is getting a ride. The can you there is not essential. It does not communicate a lot for us. So it gets ignored, but if you can avoid it and just go straight to the point. Clearly define your end goal. Tell it what you want, summarize, analyze. So the please can be, sometimes we like to chat with AI and it does something and you say thank you. Now that thank you is not going to affect the response that it has given you. So those are things that, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really affect it doesn't make a lot of difference. Now, thirdly, the future of Africa the future of Africa when it comes to AI, that is where it becomes our collective responsibility. You and I, we need to start to think about where are we going and how do we get there. If I ask AI to generate a Yoruba essay on a particular topic, how much data does it have about the Yoruba language in order to learn? Now, it might even try if it's just Yoruba. If I say, okay, Ijebu in particular, or Oyo, what's the dialect of Yoruba in Oyo, or Efik, just not those general languages now. I'm going into dialects. I'm going into all of these less popular areas. What begins to happen in those cases? So we need to start to think about how do we make the data in these languages for these things accessible? How do we build processes that enable the use of this data for training? Are we training our own models? Are we making them available so that the world can train their models on them and everybody out there is able to use or able to see the results of this? But it's not just going to happen by itself. It needs collective efforts. We have things like open source data. I know the Lagos State has an initiative around that, but it's not enough yet. We still need to start to solve these problems locally. And that's part of the reason why when we say AI is coming to take people's jobs, these are jobs that AI can create for people. Translating from this language to that language, somebody is going to do it. So why not be the one that learns AI and you already know your own language and you're able to give it, okay, these are 20 examples of text from this dialect to this dialect. And who knows, somebody out there might just one day need a model that does exactly that. So I think I've been able to answer those questions. Let me see if I have any other questions in the chat. Okay, I think there are two hands. Do we want to take all the questions? Yes, Jamila, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. The session was really very impactful. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I have a medical background. I studied anatomy. So do I need to have an engineering background for me to go into this AI engineering? Like if I'm interested in it.
Okay, so when you say AI engineering, what do you mean?
Like, okay, in a situation where I want to do something like what you just said just now, translate my dialect and use AI to like incorporate it into AI.
So are you looking at building a tool that other people are going to use, or you're looking at doing something that you can use?
No, building a tool that other people can use.
Okay, so if you're looking at building a tool that other people can use, then you need to have some idea about software engineering and all of that. But it's not That's your own wish. The reason why I'm careful about this response is I don't want everybody on the call to feel like, oh, we need to come and learn about programming. The important thing is we all need to know how to use it to improve our day-to-day activities. But there are some people that would want to build tools that other people can use. Those are the people that need to now go and face the headache, the serious headache of learning about software engineering, data science, ML, AI, and the rest of them. So yes, if you're looking at building tools, you need to learn something. It doesn't mean going deep. You have low code tools that don't require coding. So I'm not saying come and learn a programming language, but it's not as simple as using. You still need to understand some basic building blocks around, okay, where does this stay? How do I connect this to this? How do I feed my results? But it's not as hard as it used to be. So you can still remain in the medical background and on the side start to pick up these things.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome. Miracle, and I think that's the last question that we have.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, so thank you very much for today's session. My question is this: if, for instance, now I want to write a letter, and I have written the letter, and I probably take it to ChatGPT to help me adjust the grammar, correct punctuation, spellings, and vocabulary. Is it okay at that point if I copy verbatim what AI gives and take it to whatever I'm doing, or do I still need to like adjust some things there? I mean, like after to make it look not as though it was plagiarism or something.
So the question is, what task did you give AI? Because remember, I said most people do is copy, paste in AI, copy result from AI, paste in the end result. So if what you do is tell AI that I want you to proofread, I want you to edit, I want you to correct grammatical or identify grammatical errors. So that is the task. You're not asking it to rewrite the article for you. You're giving it a particular task, and then you're getting a result from it, which should kind of look like what you gave it. So if that's what you do, then you can go ahead. But if it's just copy, paste, you're on your own.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. So for the task that I gave us, I looked at a few, but I've not been able to analyze it. But I would want us to do that on our own, compare it with what we have here, and improve on
Hello, good
it.
evening, everyone.
Okay, so we just
Hello,
take you last person, Gloria, and then after we'll take our pictures and we can round up the session so you can talk.
Okay.
All right,
All
thank you
right.
very much.
Gloria.
The okay, this is it. I just read from my screen. This is very prompt you give the AI about healthy lifestyle, right? So I would want to ask now. Oh, jeez. Okay, so my screen says what you wrote, right? Write a message to share in a group chat, right? With chat with interested friend. I want to know now with this message, now the message should be outlined in blah 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 blah. So would you before writing these prompts, and would you give AI that, okay, this is your journey, how you started, the challenges you had, how you overcame those challenges before telling AI now use this very what I've written, how the journey of the life of my healthy lifestyle and physical well-being, right? Now, before writing this message, you outline the steps you took, share your challenges and all of that. Or this message you just wrote, right? This message you just wrote should be the only prompt, should just be, the message you give AI, and AI will just generate just anything for you without writing, okay, your journey, how you started, some of the things you did, some of the your fears, your challenges, and how you overcame it.
That's my question. Then another one is as regard the last person, the last response you gave to the last person, you talked about, okay, you answered that, okay, if it's she gave the AI already, she generated her own document, right? Her own letter before putting it just for grammatical, check. Then she can go ahead and paste it like that. So I want to know if with that without going ahead to paste it is not a problem. I know you said yes, she can go ahead and paste it like that, but would it not still be, detected that probably AI did this or that? Thank you very much.
Okay, so the first thing is for the prompt that we have here, what it's going to do, remember we said it's trying to predict the probability of what your response should look like. So what it's going to do right now is it will understand based on the information I have about individuals who have gone through this journey, and it will give you generic information about those individuals in a motivational, empathic tone. So this is different from write a message to tell people about healthy lifestyle. So this is not a prompt for I want to share my journey. This is a prompt for, say, I'm a content writer and I'm looking to write content on healthy living. So it doesn't necessarily mean that I am the one that went through that journey. It means that I'm telling you to write from the perspective of someone that has gone through that journey. But if it's now, oh, you want to share your story, now that is a different angle, meaning you have experienced it and you're now going to give it context of your own particular story that it wants to share. And the information would not be write a message to send to, they're going to structure it in a way that you're asking it to share your story, to craft a just to spice it up and make sure that it's coherent and all of that. So you already have all of the information. And that is also similar to the case that we're talking about, where you already have the documents, you already have the response. So you are giving it to it and asking it to do a particular thing with this. We talked about few shots prompting, zero shots prompting. This is zero shots. Not, it doesn't know anything. We've given it context, but it doesn't know anything. In your own case, oh, you have more information. You know things about healthy living, and you're able to include that in your context. And the information you would get is going to be different from the way to present it to the other person. So now, from your question, you're able to see the reason why it is not using AI that is the problem. It is how you use AI that is the problem. The person that knows about healthy living or healthy lifestyle, that experienced it, that listed out the challenges he faced, is not the same as the person that at the end of the day, he starts to see information that does not apply to our client. I don't know, he picks up healthy living material from UK or Canada and just writes it. But if you are the one writing your story, there are things that we would see there that would let us know that, oh, this is you. This was about you. It's not generic. So how you use AI is the differentiating factor. All right. So I want us to go back and make another attempt. Now that you've seen what this prompt looks like, go back, try to rewrite that email. So I want us to do a before versus after. You can take a screenshot, you can copy it, and go share on your social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever medium you use. Go talk about how you crafted your prompts, basically. And this was not your generic prompt. I'm sure that you would have put some effort into it. But now that you have a template for what it should really look like, I'm expecting things like, I saw somebody that is saying, insert university, insert field. Those are information that you should have passed. Those are things you should have included in context. as a final year engineering student, mechanical engineering student in this, write an email to a senior engineer in Nokia requesting for a meeting. So context, give it information so that the email that it's giving you is better suited to your particular use case. So to wrap it up, we're not asking you all to come and become AI engineers. No, that's not the purpose of our discussion today. Purpose of our discussion is making sure that when people are saying, oh, AI is going to take your job, you are the one using AI such that you're able to better perform, you're able to get better results in your particular role. So continuous learning, it's not going to stop. It's amazing that you are here. We've been here for about 2 hours now, and I apologize for taking more time than I should, but it's one of those things. So you have to keep learning. It's not going to stop here. You need to keep updating because these things are constantly changing. What ChatGPT, what Gemini could do 6 months ago is not the same thing you can do with it now. So if you said, oh, I knew how to use AI as of 2024. Somebody else is using AI 3 times better than you right now and is able to get results that are beating what you are getting. So stay updated, stay connected to people around your space, communities, events. All of these things help you get the best out of this new world that we find ourselves. So on this note, I want to thank you for your time. And it's been amazing getting to interact with you all. If you have further questions, you can reach me through the organizers. You can reach me through my LinkedIn. It's in the document. So when you get the slides, you could just click on my LinkedIn here, send me a DM, and I'll be more than happy to respond to you. So thank you and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah, before you leave, Sam, thank you so much for complete. You guys can unmute now and say thank you, thank you, thank you. I've made so that everyone can unmute and say thank you. Thank you. And we have a practice. We take pictures
Thank
before we
you
end
for
every
the
session.
session. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So everyone put on your video. This is the part where we take pictures. And sir, can you please stop sharing your screen? So we take pictures.
Thank you, sir.
Everyone puts on their video with just for memories and so this is why we take pictures. So we get our gallery view. And where's our speaker? Yes, so everyone put on your camera and oh, okay, someone is using touch Nigerian situation. Sir, are you putting on your video? I can't see you on the screen.
Yes, my video is on.
Okay, okay, I've seen it. Okay, so please just still put it on. I'm taking the screenshots right now. Wow, I like the touchlight concept. Interesting.
Regardless of what we are going through.
Please still put on your videos. I'll soon be done. We have like 3 slides. So,
next week is this mine for me.
So thank you everyone. We are done. Thank you so much. I'll share the recording is on YouTube definitely because it was streamed live, and also we'll get the slides and we share with everyone via email and on the WhatsApp group. Thank you so much again, sir, for honoring this invitation and for your training session. It was really insightful. And we'll share the links to his LinkedIn profile, so in case you have any questions or anything you want to reach out, you can always reach out to him. So thank you everyone for joining. You can put off your cameras and you can also leave the call. I've shared the link to the post assessment form. Please ensure you fill it, please. if you've not filled it, stay on the
Thank
call
you so
for
much.
like the
Thank
next
you
5 minutes and then
for
fill it,
you.
please.
We really appreciate and I enjoyed the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Good night. You can leave the call. Please ensure you fill the post assessment form.
Thank you too. Rest well. Good night.